received, you know, your new. Hi everyone, I'm April, and you're watching the Tangled Cat Speaks. It has been quite a bit since I've podcasted, but things just got crazy busy with my personal life and work, and I just didn't have a chance. But I did get a lot of knitting done, a lot of things to show you, and June just felt like start-itis month. I wanted to start everything, and I have so many things going right now. I have a few of them here to show you, but first I wanted to show you, I forgot to mention this in the last podcast, but I had received my May installment of the Where We Knit club. I can't think right now. It's right in front of me. Indie Untangled. The Indie Untangled Where We Knit subscription. And I got the May installment. Sorry for the crinkling. But I haven't opened it since I got it because I've been wanting to show you. So, let's see. Let's read the little paper. This is, the theme for this one is Enchanted Forest. And let's see, we've got, the yarn is some fingering weight yarn. It looks like it's 100% superwash merino, so there's no nylon or anything in this, and it's 437 yards per 100 grams. And I don't know how to pronounce this colorway. I don't know. But it's by Martin's Lab. This is the tag on the yarn. Martin's Lab, very cool. And the colorway is here. I hope that's focusing. Oh, this word here. I don't know what that is. I don't know how to say that. But that's what it is. And it's super pretty. It's browns and mauvey purples. A little bit of green in here. Very pale. Like, it's kind of hard to tell if that's a brown or it's more on the purple side, but oh, there's some dark purple there. Super pretty, super subtle for variegated. Looks like there might be some speckles up in there. Very, very pretty. And this is going to go with the pattern that's called The Sweetest Berries, and this is, I can never pronounce her last name, Justina. She's got a lot of them out there. Justina Lorkowska, but this is the pattern that this yarn goes with for this installment. It's The Sweetest Berries, and it's a cowl. Super excited. Very, very cool. And they sent some extra goodies this time. So they sent a hand and body balm that is got lanolin in it. Oh, there's a glare. Where's that glare coming from? From Tuft. And I haven't opened this either. Oh yeah, that smells, it smells fruity. And you just rub it on your hands. It raises up like a little twisty thing. You just rub it on your hands and spread it around. It smells so good. You know, I like this because I like the handmade soaps that you get off of Etsy, not soaps, bar lotions. I like those, but you kind of have to like take it out and touch the whole thing and then put it back in the little tin. Whereas this one, you're only touching the top part like you would like a chapstick or a deodorant, and it stays, you know, clean, and it's not, the whole thing isn't touched, and it kind of gets melty in the other one. So this is a cute idea. I really like this. It's Tuft. I'm guessing that's the brand name. Now, Tuft Woolens. They're up here on top. Focus. Oh, it's not gonna say. I'll put it up here. It's tuftwoolens.com. And also, this is the one I've been dying because I love me a good lip balm by the same people. Luxury lip balm. focus on me. And this is also Forest Berry. That's both the scent on both of these is called Forest Berry. So I'm gonna put this on. If I can open it, excuse me for 2.5 seconds while I try to get the seal off. Which is nice that it has a seal for being from a handmade. Assuming it's handmade, but you know, it's nice that it's got a seal. Oh, maybe it's April proof. I can't get it. Oh, there it is. Okay. This also smells like berries, like fruit. Oh, and it's silky. It's so silky. And my hair's doing weird things. Yes, so gonna keep this by my bed because I'm the kind of person, I have a lip balm everywhere. I've got one by my bedside table, one in my purse, one in my car, in my knitting bags, in my work bag, my lunch. I've got them all over the place. I cannot live without lip balm. So there's that. This is super pretty. And it's going to look really nice in this cowl. I don't know about the fringe on the cowl. I very much shy away from fringe. It doesn't look, I just don't like the look of it. But this might be brioche. Oh no, it's twisted rib. Twisted rib and bobble fringe. I don't know, I might do it, but I don't know. I'm not a fringe person. But we'll see. So there's that. I've been dying to show you guys. And since we're on things that I've received, you know, your new stuff, we'll go with that. So something new that I got, and you probably have seen this on my Instagram, a woman here by the name of McKaylee Marler. She had an Etsy shop, and I mentioned her before, but now she has also started her own website shop. And it's called Breaking Yarn. Breaking Yarn is a play on Breaking Bad, which was filmed here in Albuquerque, which is where we are both from. So it's really, really cool. She sent me one yarn to you know, words today. My goodness, words today. To review. She sent me some yarn to review, and so since it is themed, her colors are themed off of the Breaking Bad TV series, which is about two men in Albuquerque cooking some high grade crystal meth in their RV out in the desert, and they wear hazmat suits and all kinds of stuff. So it sounds terrible for a show, but it is actually a really, really good show. So she's themed a lot of it, and she sent me this one, and this is hazmat suit. Perfect color. Bright, bright, bright banana yellow. And so when her shop launched, I went ahead and ordered the other color, which is, she's got a few colors, but these are the two solids that I got. The other ones are variegated colors. This one is crystal meth. So super, super cool. And you guys know that yellow isn't 100% my thing. Lately, I have been in a yellow mood, and I don't know what that is. I know I've been talking about the book club box, the book box that I got recently from Amber Crawley for her book on Luna Time, and she sent some yellow yarn that came with that because yellow was in the thing. So I was like, I'm dying to start that. And another shawl that I just finished had some bright, bright yellow in it. And so this is just, and now that I have some left over of that yellow yarn, I want to work with the rest of it and add some pink to it. So I've got yellow on the braid, and then this comes, and I'm like, for sure. So I want to pair these two in some socks. And what I want to do is make the socks, the body of the socks, this would be the heels, cuffs, and toes. But I also have, I have some beads that I've had for years They're some matte colored cobalt blue beads. So I was thinking of just making a vanilla sock basically, and then just randomly adding these blue beads along the leg. So it kind of looks like a sprinkle of the crystal meth crystals. So yeah, it's going to be super silly, super bright, but it's going to be on my feet. And whatever I have left, who knows what I'll do. Super pretty though. Very vibrant, beautiful colors. So that's what else I got. So, oh, and I didn't show you her card. This is her information. Breaking Yarn is the website. So it's breakingyarn.com. This yarn is also fingering weight, 462 yards for 100 grams. 75-25 superwash merino and nylon. Super cool. Breaking Yarn. I also went crazy on solid colors. Most of my yarn is speckled and variegated and striped and all kinds of things in between. But I've been wanting to do a few other things. So I bought a whole bunch of, and this isn't even, I'm not kidding, this is what I've singled out from that big giant bag that I ordered for a particular project. But I would say I've got maybe 3 more or 2 more like this, a total of 3 of these kinds of bags, all of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted. So these are all going to be for one particular project that I'm going to talk about in a little bit, but you can see I got a whole bunch there. A friend of mine came into work with some crochet, and she was using this velvet yarn. It's not velvet, it's what do you call it, like velour, I guess, but they call it velvet. It's Bernat. It's all one up in here. Let me take this off. It's Bernat velvet. There's a couple of them. There's baby velvet, which I think is an Aran weight, and then there's just the velvet, which is a little bit thicker, more of a bulky. So this is the yarn, Bernat velvet, and you can see it's just plush and soft and silky, and ooh, it's so pretty. So she came in working on a baby blanket with that, and I ran to Michael's, and then I got online, and every shop I could find, I wanted all the colors, and I got all the colors except for maybe a couple of blues, because there was like 6 blues, shades of blue, and I was like, okay, that's plenty of blue. I don't need all 6. So I didn't get all the blues, and I didn't get the yellow because it's like a very pale baby yellow. I wasn't too keen on that one, but I got 17 different colors, and look how huge these balls are. They're crazy. They're crazy big. So what I decided to do was get my giant end hook, this big fat guy here. You can tell I've had this forever. Look at it. I've used this thing to get into like vents, and like if something fell through a vent on the floor, I would get in there and dig with this thing. I've had it for years, and it shows. So what I've been doing is the same stitch pattern that you use for a corner to corner can be done flat in regular across rows to make a rectangle, not on the bias. So that's what I've been doing. I've been holding 2 strands together using my end hook, and that's actually the bottom. Let's do it this way. So I started with 2 strands of one of the blues, and then I did 1 blue, 1 pink, 2 strands of the pink, and now I'm at a strand of pink and a strand of green. And then when I get done with the pink, I'll do another section of the solid green, and then the green with the next color, and so on and so on. I'm planning on doing this entire, using all 17 colors in one blanket. This is huge. This is going to cover my bed, at least lay on top of the bed. It's longer than it's about my wingspan. It's a little bit longer. My wingspan is about 63 inches, and this is maybe about 65, just a little bit longer, but it's long. I'm on my third color, and I would say this is about, what, maybe 2 feet? It's gonna be so huge, and it's heavy. It's already getting heavy. It's ridiculous. Have you ever heard of those weighted blankets that you buy for like people who have trouble sleeping or maybe have some anxiety, and they put on this weighted blanket, and just the feel of it, just the heaviness of it comforts them? That's what I'm gonna have. I'm gonna have myself a velvety weighted blanket. I don't know, I may have to stop somewhere halfway and just be like, okay, this is too dang heavy. Can't even turn it to do the next row. I don't know. I'm only 3 colors in, and I've got, how many is that? 14 more to go. So we'll see. But I went crazy. I fell in love with how plushy and soft and shiny it looks, and I went crazy. And who can blame me? It's gorgeous. It's really strange to work with. It's very, very slippery. I know that this one girl is learning how to knit. She decided to also go out and buy some of this when the other girl came into work. So she went and bought some. She bought some knitting needles, and she's teaching herself to knit, but she's using this yarn, and she's using aluminum needles. It's very slippery. She's having a lot of issues, but she's persevering. She refuses to pull it out and start again. So she's going along. But yeah, I'm seeing this yarn all over the place, and I just had to have it. I had to have every color. So let's talk about things that I've finished. I might have showed you this at the very beginning stages. I know I've posted the end product on Instagram. I can't remember if I showed it on the last one. It's been so long and I didn't go back to look. But this is my Tammis Shawl. It's my design. It's a biased triangle, so it's knit from the one small point and then to the bigger long edge. And so it's mostly, it's bands of garter with bands of this mesh, and that's what the name of the pattern is. It's called Tammis, which is French for sieve, and mesh sieve, whatever, you know, you get the idea. I did this one in a DK weight, and this is Knit Picks Gloss DK in the Velveteen colorway. And the way that the pattern is written, it can be done in any weight yarn, any needle, and you can change up where you put the lace panels. You can have just the whole thing garter and have lace at the end. You can have smaller bands of lace and garter. You can do the garter in a different color from the lace. Anything. It's knit. It's written in such a way that you can change it up however you want. And that's the one I keep saying I'm going to start my Tammis shawl with, another Tammis shawl in fingering weight with that Luna yarn from the book box that I mentioned a little bit ago. So I want to do that, but like I said, I got start-itis and I started all the other things because the needle I would need for the Luna one is somewhere in another project, so I haven't done that. I also worked on this was a knit along with Jana from Purl Together. She's got her podcast here on YouTube, and this was the Cozy Winter shawl. I used worsted weight. It was the Let Lopey yarn. Very rustic. It was strange to work with because my hands just would dry out almost instantly, so I kept having to put lotion or cream on because my hand, just where there was the working yarn was running over my finger, would just get sore because this yarn is very, very rustic. Definitely an outer garment kind of yarn, not something that's going to be always right up here. It is a shawl. I don't wear my shawls this way though. I wear my shawls over my shoulders, and so it'll work if I've got a long sleeve, maybe like a turtleneck or a higher collared top on, and it's fine. It's just not something that I would wear right up against my skin. So during the winter, and it's very warm, it's got a lot of halo to it. You can see that, fuzzy. It's a little bit scratchy. If you're super sensitive, I would not recommend using this yarn. I don't have the ball bands anymore, but it's, I don't know if it's Istex or Estex. It's Istex, and it's Let Lopey. This is the Milky Way colorway. So it's blues, very pale blue with a little bit of a darker blue in there, and maybe that's good, and some speckles of pinks. So from far away it kind of looks like a periwinkle blue, maybe a lavender, but this is the shawl, and it's huge. It's another bias triangle, so it starts at one point and gets bigger. But look at those cables. There's several different kinds of cables. It's huge. It's long and beautiful. It blocked out so nice. The definition in these stitches is wonderful. And it was very easy to memorize the pattern and to just go. The pattern did call for an I-cord bind off, which I did not do. I just did a regular bind off, and I like that. It doesn't feel heavy or anything. I know that in the knit along on the Purl Together podcast, Jana did a tutorial on how to do the I-cord, to add an I-cord to the existing pattern on all three sides. So you can also do that if you want to go to Jana's podcast and see how she did that with this pattern, and it turned out really pretty. I just didn't feel like doing I-cord. I don't mind it sometimes. I just wasn't in the mood for it at in this particular project. But I'm sorry for the wrinkles. It was in my car because I had to show somebody at work, because it was just I had to show somebody. So I took it to work, and then it kind of got forgotten in the back seat. But the cables are gorgeous, and it'll be nice when it's winter time. I still haven't tucked in my ends, so don't tell anybody. Shh. So that was the other big thing that I finished. I did finish another shawl, and I don't have it right here with me. I've already given it to my mother, because every time I would pull it out and work on it, she would admire it and talk about how she loved all the different colors in it. Because this is it's called the Calico Quilt Shawl. And I'll put a picture of the finished product, pictures that my mom took with it yesterday. It's basically written for Advent. So your Advent minis. And I think it's 10 grams per mini, 25 minis. Obviously I didn't do this at Christmas. I just found this a few weeks ago and started it. I was using leftover yarns, and it turned out so cool. I really love it. It's the perfect size for my mom. I think and I do want to make another one, but I would use maybe 15 grams. Just make the triangles, each individual triangle a little bit bigger, so that the overall triangle is larger at the end. And it's a modular pattern, so you're basically doing one triangle at a time and then picking up stitches to attach as you go. So there's no sewing and seaming later. It's all attach as you go and done day by day for the Advent 25 days. It was so fun to make. It was really cool. So again, I'll have a picture to show you what the end product looks like, but I would definitely make that one again. And then I decided I wanted to start socks. I remember if I showed these to you at the very beginning or on the last podcast, but these are, I guess I'm moving into things that I'm working on. I don't have any actual other finished products here with me. So I'm moving on to things that I'm making, and I actually have kind of stopped on these because start-itis happened. These I started in the beginning of June, and they've just kind of sat. So these are the men's cable clock socks. It's a vintage pattern. I don't know why I'm lately really looking forward to working vintage patterns, but this is a free vintage pattern. The designer is Nell Armstrong, and the only reason why I remember that is because somebody thought it said Neil Armstrong, and then they made all kinds of jokes about how NASA made a sock pattern. It's funny. But but it is kind of weird because this sock is knit flat. So this is all 64 stitches across, and then it does some weird magic, and these are the two sides of the heel. So you can see I had to do a heel turn twice on half the stitches on both sides. And now I'm back to where I'm just, all of the gusset stitches are decreased down, so I'm back to my normal, almost back to my normal stitches. I think I might have a few more gusset stitches left, but I'm almost done with that. Then I'll just do straight knitting, and then I'll have to figure out how they do the toe, which I'm assuming is going to look similar to this. And then you fold it in half and you bind, not bind off, you seam up the back of the sock. So the seam is going to go all the way down the back of the sock, over the back of the heel, and under the foot. So I was concerned about that, and that was one of the reasons why I kind of stopped. But I did find a video here on YouTube, and I'll have to put the name, but she does I can't remember if it's a he or a she now. Anyway, the video shows how to do a, sorry, somebody just sent me a message, it's weird, how to do a seam that is flat. So like, if you know what a mattress stitch looks like, it does leave a ridge on the back side, and that's what I was worried about. I'm going to be stepping on this seam, this ridge. So this person has found a way to do a seam similar to a mattress stitch, but it lays flat, so you won't feel that join. So I was kind of excited to try it, but then I was like regretting it because this is got a lot of parts of dark yarn, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to see those stitches. And honestly, I have never ever done any kind of seaming in knitting. I've done seaming in crochet, but not in knitting, so I don't even know. I've kind of scared myself when I really thought about it, and I haven't gotten back to working on these at all. So I really need to get over it and get these done, because they're turning out really cool with this striped yarn. This is Universal Little Bird yarn, and the colorway is Grass Stain. And I think I'm gonna have enough for both socks. I hope so, because I don't know if I can find this yarn again. I bought this 8,000 years ago. I'm trying to see the yardage. 344 yards, which is about right for me, because I never use a full 400 yards in my socks. But this is a sport weight also, so I don't know. I may not be able to finish those anyway if I don't have enough. We'll see. I'll have to measure the one sock when I finish it, and then see if I have enough to do the second one. But we'll see. And then, so I showed you my crochet blanket with the velvet yarn. I've been wanting to do crochet lately. So I went to Michael's craft store with my daughter, because she's started crocheting again. I taught her years and years ago, and she decided she wanted to do that again, and she did a giant granny blanket, just a giant granny square, just kept going and going and going, in stripes of red and white. And then she decided that she wanted to do little grannies in 3 colors and sew all the little grannies together. So we went to the yarn store at Michael's and got some yarn for her, but of course while I was there I couldn't walk out without buying something. So I stopped at the Karen Cakes section, and they had so many bright, vibrant colors, but I don't know why I was possessed. This actually looks like browns, but it is tans, but this here is like a really pretty sage green. This colorway is called White Truffle, but it's very neutrally, very earthy. So I've been knitting on that, or not knitting, crocheting with that, and the pattern that I'm using is something by someone, Joanna Lindahl, and this is the Secret Paths shawl. I've never crocheted a shawl, but it's not unlike crocheting a blanket or anything. It's just a matter of the stitches, but it's turning out so pretty. So I bought 3 of those balls, and this is one ball. I've just now started the second, and it's already rather big. It's a worsted weight cake, and I love it. It is just so soft and neutral. I feel like I could wear this with just about anything, and the size is already rather large, so I don't know if I'm going to even need all 3 skeins, just depending on where I decide to stop. But then what would I do with these self-striping yarns? I don't know what else I would do, because I specifically bought it for a shawl. So I don't know, I might make the biggest worsted weight shawl on the planet. But I love it. This is such a pretty pattern, and it's easy to memorize. You just got to pay attention to make sure you're getting your counts. But I am a stickler when it comes to that, and I count everything, because I hate when I'm wrong and then things are off center, and it just drives me crazy. So, and it's so much easier to fix things like that in crochet. Knitting, I tend to let things go because sometimes you don't want to have to rip it out. It's more difficult to rip out in knitting than it is crochet. But I'm loving it so much. I'm having a blast with it. So there's that. More crochet. I also started another vintage pattern. Oh, that Secret Path shawl is using my J hook. This is 6mm J10 is what it says. So I started another one, and I'll have to show you a picture of what this is supposed to look like. Another vintage pattern, and I don't remember the name of the designer, but I'll put that up as well. This is basically a single crochet. It was originally knit in just the plain cream linen-y color cotton thread, which I am using cotton thread, but I'm not using linen color, cream, plain flesh tone. I'm using, this is the ocean colorway, and I want to say that this is Annie's crochet thread. I can't remember. I'll put it up here, but it's super pretty. Greens, like a pale seafoam green, some blues, and light lavenders. Very, very pretty. And so what it is basically a long rectangle, and it's a short scarf. Oh, I should have brought the pin. Dang it, I'll have to show you the pin later. So it's a short scarf. So this is basically half. This is about 12 inches. And so this is about half. So the other half, and it'll meet right here. You have a pin to hold them together, and then they'll kind of poof out right here. So it's a very vintage style. It's just not a vintage color, but it's super simple. I've been crocheting on this here and there while I watch TV shows. So it's mindless, single crochet at this point. And it looks like the lacy mesh parts at the end are going to be rather simple too. It's just a matter of how small this is. This is size 10 mercerized cotton thread. So it's very, very thin. And the hook I'm using is so small, I gotta pull it back to read the thing. It's a D3, and it's 3.25 millimeters, so it's super small. I am used to working on the J's, K's, I's, and here's a D. Oh, God. I used to do doilies in the steel hooks that are much, much smaller, and I stopped those because it just felt like thousands upon thousands of stitches for something that ended up about this big. I'm like, no, I'm gonna make blankets with bigger hooks, bigger yarn. So I haven't really crocheted with anything this thin in a long, long time, decades as a matter of fact. So there's my other in progress thing. And then I've also started doing a few things that are my own ideas, some more patterns based on songs by Avi Kaplan. So the first one, I think I showed you a hint of this. I might have, or maybe it was just Instagram. But one of his songs is called Other Side. And I am using sport weight Bijou Basin Ranch 100% yak yarn in the light gray and the dark gray. And this is, I think, the second ball of the light. I'm still on the first of the dark. And what I'm doing is, it's a rectangular shawl, so it's going to be knit this way. And this sucker is going to be long. This is about 40 inches across now, and I'm almost to the halfway point. But what it is, as you can see, it starts out with the background of light gray with these bands of, it's a texture stitch, and as you go along, the bands of gray in between get narrower and narrower, and then at the center point I'm going to flip it and I'm going to inverse the colors. You're going to have the dark gray background with the light gray textured stitch, and they're going to get wider and wider to the other side. The other side, that's the song. So that's what this is. This one is taking me a really long time, not because it's difficult, mostly because it's so mindlessly, meditatively simple that I've been doing it only at work. I still have a trainee, so I can't do it during working hours, but I can go on my lunch break and knit it. So literally I've got maybe 20-30 minutes of knitting time per day, and it's just going really, really, really slowly. But it's coming out, it's looking good. It's super soft. I love this yarn. I love this yarn, and I am so sad that Bijou Basin Ranch is out of business. So bummer with that. So that's this. That's one of my designs. And I'm going to backtrack a little bit because this one, the other one I'm going to show you is not my design. It's also a free pattern that I found online, and it's using store plastic bags to make plarn. Every time I say it, it's funny. Plarn. It's a weird word. Plastic yarn made out of plastic bags. So you basically, I found the pattern that this is, and I'll have to put it up here, is for basically a market bag. It has a photo by photo tutorial on how to cut the plastic bags into these rings, and then how to join the rings. And I've been using, again, my handy dandy end hook to crochet this bag. This is, I think the pattern is something like 30 rows total, and this is, or 30 rounds, and this is 5 rounds, and I've used about 10 bags. So, and I have so many, and I usually use them for like lining the garbage cans in the bathrooms. So, but I have so many, and I think I actually have enough to make about 3 bags. I have so many, but that's fine. Then I'll have some grocery bags, and I won't need, I could stop getting these. So I'm trying to get that done, get them all used up, and it's going faster now that I got into the groove. I'm cutting up a bag, attaching it, and then crocheting that bit, and then I'm attaching and doing another bag and attaching it, and then crocheting. Super easy, super quick. The crocheting is quick. The making the plarn, not so much. Plarn, that's just a great word. Plarn, plarn, plarn. Okay, so back to the things that I'm making. Sorry, I know I'm scatterbrained. I am one of those people that I just am all over the place. I don't take notes. I don't follow any kind of matrix, any kind of, set way of presenting things to you. I don't have anything like that. I just talk like I'm talking to my friends, and we're just going and going and going, and this is what happens. So the other one that I'm doing, and I'm going to have to show the photo that this is inspired by. This is inspired by, again, Avi Kaplan and his music, and the photo that he took of this song, it's called The Summit, and he took a photo of himself up in the mountains, and you can see the trees and the mountains in the background. super pretty, super serene, and just totally 100% him. And so I didn't know how to interpret the words of the song specifically into something that I wanted to make. So I decided I just barely started this. It's at the very, very beginnings, but basically it's going to be a long rectangle that is chevrons. And I showed you my bag of colors that I had chosen. And these are all colors that I hope represent the photo that I showed you. And it's basically just going to be different size stripes to create that background in that photo. The mountains and the sky and the clouds and all of that. Just layers of colors in a simple chevron. Long shawl. Worsted weight, wool of the Andes. So I've got, I don't know, about maybe 8-10 colors here. And this is I'm doing this on my ChowGoo needles on a 10, which I think is a 6mm. I don't know, and I can't see without my glasses. I think that's what it is. I don't know, but it's a US 10 needle. So that's one of the other things that I started. I haven't really been working on this because I keep starting stuff. I don't know what is going on with me. I keep just starting all of the things. What else? I think that's most of what I'm doing or have been doing. I do have a few other things that I've started, but we'll talk about those another time if I actually get further on them. Some of them are more just ideas in my head. Oh, no. Speaking of idea in my head, I do have one more. It's just buried under all this other stuff. This is another one that I've come up with, and it's super simple. I'm just all about simple. And this one I couldn't decide what to do with the colors. These are yarns that I dyed, I think it was last summer or last fall, and they were all using powdered drink mix. It was 3 colors of powdered drink mix. It was orange, it was a pink, and then a blue. I think it was the Crush brand single powdered mixes that go into your water bottle. And then this bottom one here on the corner is all 3 of the colors together that were left over from the other 3 yarns. So each color I did has the other 2 colors in it. So the pink has the orange and blue, orange has the blue and pink, blue has the pink and orange. And here this is looking really, really orangey, reddish almost, but it's like it's a warm pink. I guess it could be kind of a orangey color, but it's pink. My lighting is just terrible. And then this just kind of reads as pink all over, but all 3 colors are in each one, so they all go together. I dyed them knowing I was going to do something with them together. I just didn't know what, and I was looking at pattern after pattern, and I couldn't decide, and it just kind of sat and sat and sat and sat. So finally what I did the other day was go through my knitting dictionaries, and I found a chevron lace kind of pattern. It's super open. There's a ridge of reverse stockinette right here, and then this open kind of chevron. And so since I couldn't decide what order I wanted to put these colors and how how I wanted to play with them, each repeat is 12 rows. So I got a dice rolling app on my phone, and I labeled each one of these as 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so whenever I finish the 12 rows, I roll the dice again, and it's a 4-sided die. So I pick, you know, I roll and put the next color in so far. And I'm telling myself, even if it means I have to do the same color in a row several times, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to let the die choose. I'm not going to manipulate it at all in any way. It's just literally going to be what the dice have said. And even the fact that, like I said, that means I've got the same color for row, repeat after repeat. I don't care. I'm just going to do it. And when I run out of a color, then I'll only be able to choose from those 3, and you know, we'll just see how it works out. So far it's given me an actual pattern, the die. It's orange, pink, blue, orange, pink. I'm hoping that it did give me the blue this last time. So far I've got an actual pattern happening there. It doesn't look random, but it really is, because I've only been doing it according to the die. I haven't even started on this 4th color at all, which I'm kind of bummed about because this is my favorite one out of all of them. But I'm just letting the die do what it's gonna do, and we'll see what happens. You know, I might end up with, right now it looks very planned, but it's not. I promise you it's not. I'm just using the die. So we'll see how that looks as it goes along. This I think is using a US 5. No, it's a US 6 on my Chow Goose. I have a whole bunch of the fixed circulars. I don't have any interchangeables. They're all fixed. Kind of like my cat. Anyway, so I've been working on that little by little. There are a few other things, like I said, that I've started here and there, and then I'm just like, put those away. I really need to focus on getting a few things done. So the 3 shawls that I showed you today seems like a lot, but I've been working on them here and there, and it's been, I think, a month and a half since I last podcast. So it seems like a lot, but really it's just been a whole different set of circumstances than normal. So yeah, that's it. Let's talk about books, because I have been trying to focus more on reading or listening to books. Let's see. Let's start with audio, because I've been doing so much knitting and crocheting. I'm listening to a lot of audiobooks. So I just finished recently The Goldentresses of the Dead, which is a Flavia de Luce mystery. I want to say this is something like 7 or 8 in the series. Flavia de Luce, I love these stories. The little girl is just so fun, and it's audio, and I love the woman that they have narrating these books. She does an awesome job with the voices, and she brings this character to life. I thoroughly enjoy listening to these. And the author is Alan Bradley. So yeah, it's just such a fun series of stories. And this little girl, she's got access to, I think I might have mentioned this before, but she's got access to a pretty technical laboratory, chemical laboratory in her home. And this is set, I want to say this is set in like the 30s or maybe the 40s, something like that. But it's, she has access to all this. She's quite gruesome because she loves chemistry, but her specialty is poisons. So there's a lot of her experimenting with poison and stuff. But then I think she's in her teenage years, preteen maybe, and she gets all in these shenanigans of people dying, and she tries to get involved because she just knows that poison has to be in there somewhere. And you know, she helps. It's a cozy mystery. She ends up being this amateur sleuth helping the police, and all of that. So, but it's just a really fun twist and a little bit dark for a little girl, but I love it. She's a great character. Thoroughly enjoy it. So that's what I've been reading or listening to. I also listened to another story in the Haunted Yarn Shop Mysteries by Molly McRae. This one was called Cruel and Unusual. This one I was obviously drawn to because it had ghosts, and it's a haunted yarn shop, so it's really fun. And the ghost in this one is just very neurotic and very sensitive, and she always takes what you say to her or about her in completely the wrong context, and then she's very upset and she's whiny, and then yeah, but it's very funny. I really enjoy this one. I really like cozy mysteries. That's my main genre of books that I read or listen to. Really enjoy those because they're just light. There's, you know, there's death and mystery all in there, but there's a lot of comedy thrown in there too, so I really enjoy that. And the person who reads this particular audio series is really good too, so I'm very much enjoying that. Another series that I've been reading is by Carleen O'Connor, and it's set in Ireland. This one that I'm listening to right now is Murder in an Irish Pub. Again, the cozy mystery genre. This one I'm having a little bit of a hard time with because I think I read the first few in a handheld book, but this one is the first or second audio. I don't remember being this annoyed by the reader before, so this might be the first time I've listened to the audio, or maybe it's a different reader. I can't remember if I've listened to an audio in this series before, but right now you can tell that this person is not very good with the Irish accent. She's struggling, and you can really tell, and it kind of grates on my ears, so I'm just like, but I like the stories, so I'm just going with it. I'm just gonna let it go. It's like she's trying too hard to sound Irish, and it doesn't come off natural at all. Because I have listened to other books that are set in Scotland and Ireland, and I understand and I'll talk about it later, but I watched a lot of BBC, UK, British mysteries, murder mysteries, of course. I mean, that seems to be what I'm all about. But I understand their accents. It's not a struggle for me to understand what they're talking about most of the time, unless they get really heavily into the slang. So I know what it's supposed to sound like, and this particular reader just doesn't make the cut quite yet. So it's just it's a little bit grates on my nerves, but I do like the story, so I'm rolling with it, and it's fine. It's okay. It's just a book. It's all right. It's not as annoying. I think one of the audios, I loved the books, but I hated the reader, and that was the Twilight series. I did not like the woman who read those at all. Her voice just got on my last nerve. I couldn't even listen to all of them because it was just too much. I ended up reading the rest of the series because listening to it was just, nope, don't like it. So then I have a book on my Kindle, or my Kindle app. I don't have a Kindle thing. Device. I just have it on my phone. But I'm reading The Knitting Fairy, and this is by Jamie Marsman, and it's a mystery, but I don't think it's a murder mystery. I think it's just, so far it just seems kind of strange things are going on, and she's got to figure out why and how they're connected to her. I don't think it's a murder mystery though. But Jamie Marsman, The Knitting Fairy, and this one's been out for a while. It's the first in this series. Excuse me. And I know there's another one that's come out, and I think it's something like Raspberry Hill or something like that, which I'll talk about that when I get to that one. But this one so far is pretty good. She's a librarian who works for a very domineering head librarian, and she ends up getting fired for trying to help somebody out, and now she's involved with this woman, but there's kind of weird things happening that she doesn't understand. So it's very early stages. I just started reading it, but so far I'm really enjoying it. You know, and it has to do with knitting, so I'm all about it. And then there's a few other books. Let's see, my most obvious would be a cozy murder mystery, and this one is all about crochet. The author is Betty Hechtman, and I think this is like 11 or 12 in the series. It's called Hooking for Trouble, because it's crochet, so hooking. That's always cracked me up. And again, it's the amateur sleuth getting involved in these murder mysteries, and you know, she kind of crochets on the side. So it's very to the same formula as all of these kinds of stories are. But I enjoy it. It's very light. It gets me out of my everyday shenanigans, and and puts me into this other world for a little while. And I really, really enjoy it. So I'm reading that one. Yeah, it is number 11. I did write it down. I should just look at what I wrote down. Number 11. I started listening to one that I've been listening to for a very long time, or reading a very long time. It was Shirley Rousseau Murphy was the author, and it was her Joe Gray mysteries, and this is all centered around a cat who has somehow been given the ability to speak and understand human speech. So he can talk to his owners, but he's the amateur sleuth. It's the cat who figures all of this stuff out, and he relays it to the humans, and they figure out the murders. So I've been going really good with this series for a while, but this last one, I just started and I couldn't even finish it. I just didn't. I guess I'm kind of burned out on the story. It's something like, it's called Cat Shining Bright, and I want to say it's somewhere in the 20s of this series. And at this point, there's more than just him. There's more cats that can have this ability, and I think they just had kittens who are now having this ability, and somehow only a handful of people only know that these cats talk. And it's just starting to get, I'm burned out on the whole theme. So I didn't finish this one. I may go back to it. It's on my Audible account, so it'll be there if I want to go back. But I don't know. I was listening to it and I was just kind of like, I'm a little bit bored with these characters. So it happens, when a series gets too long, it kind of fizzles out for me. And that may just be me, or it may be the author, maybe a combination of both. I don't know. But I wasn't getting into it. So I don't know, maybe in the future. But I know that there is this one that I stopped, and I think there's one more after that's already come out. So I don't know how long this series is going to continue, but at this point I think I'm kind of done. There was a couple others that I stopped too. A series by Anne Canadeo and another one by Sally Goldenbaum. I really liked those for a while, but I started to get like I felt stagnant with them. So I just stopped doing those altogether. But as far as bound handheld books, I did a couple of really, really small ones. One is called Something Special, and it's a very, very small book. I want to say it was less than 50 pages. Very small book that I found in the library. I was looking for something else to read, and then I saw this tiny little book, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what that is. So I literally sat there in the library and read it before I left. So it was really small, and it was Something Special by Iris Murdoch, and it was interesting. I don't know what time period this is set in, but it felt like it was set way back when girls lived with their parents until they got married, and if they didn't get married by 20, it was frowned upon. They were they were pushed to marry somebody. And this particular girl is happy to stay home. She's happy to be there, but her parents just keep kind of pushing her to this one particular person who she likes, but she doesn't feel for him that way. And it kind of goes through, and it's a very short, very quick story about how he's courting her and she doesn't like it, but in the end she does, because she doesn't like being at home anymore because they're starting to make her feel terrible. So she ends up having to choose between two bad situations. So it was very sad, a very poignant little book on how things used to be when girls married, because that was the thing to do, whether you loved the person or not, or whether they loved you or not. So it was a very interesting. So Something Special by Iris Murdoch. Then I don't know what kind of rabbit hole I ended up on Amazon, but I found this little book. It's by Helene Thurston, and I believe that she's Norwegian. because I was literally looking for Norwegian murder mysteries. Somebody had mentioned that they loved those kinds of stories, and I was like, murder mysteries? Norwegian? That sounds interesting. And so I found an author, a couple of authors. I started just looking through what they had, and I honestly can't remember the names right now. I did put them on a list, but I haven't gotten to them. But I found this little book, and I had to do it because it's got all of this. It looks like cross stitch, like a sampler kind of the title, but it's An Elderly Lady is Up to No Good by Helene Thurston, and it's translated into English. And that was another thing that I wanted to see, was how these books in another language are translated into English, and how that kind of how the story flows language wise. So I started reading this, and it's about an elderly woman who is living in the house that her family has had for generations, but over the years it's been sold and turned into apartments. And the stipulation is that this woman and her 2 daughters were allowed to live in one of the apartments rent free for the rest of their lives. And then when they die, the person who bought the whole entire building will finally get to have that apartment. So the mother had passed away, and one of the sisters has finally passed away. So now we've got the one sister left, and she's just still going strong. It's been decades that she's lived in this place rent free. People are, you know, the owners are resentful of her and stuff like that. But she's also got a streak for murder. And nobody even thinks to look at her as the suspect because she's in her 80s. So it's dark. It's really kind of dark, but it is so funny, and I am thoroughly enjoying this book. I'm only in, let's see, gosh, it's very small. It's 171 pages. It's a small book, and the printing is rather small, so I'm having a little bit of an issue reading it. I have to put my readers on. So I'm according to my bookmark, I'm at page 50, but it's I think I'm in the about to start the third. It's short stories, so I'm about to start the third story. But it's very funny, and I had to get it because, and I bought this. I didn't get it from the library. I had to buy it. I'm dropping all kinds of things right now, but it's funny. I really am enjoying the theme that just this woman, she's older, and she's got a taste for killing people, and nobody even thinks that it's her. It's funny. I like it. So that's what I have been doing as far as books. As far as TV, I just finished, I was talking about how I watch UK murder mysteries, and I just finished season 4 of the Shetland series, which is set in Scotland. I love that show. I'm really into it. I just love how the murder mystery drama thriller kind of things from the UK tend to be one story throughout the entire season. So it's 4, maybe 6 episodes, and they're long episodes, but it's all one story. So you get to the end of the episode and you're like, but what happened? I don't understand. It's not like smaller murder mysteries where it's, they figure it out within an hour and then you're done, and then the next one is a completely different story. The whole season is one thing. I'm really enjoying it. There's another one. Vera is the other one that I really liked. And I'm all caught up with that one. So there's a few other ones, but right now I'm into Shetland. So I just got completely caught up with season 4, so I'm kind of sad about that. So I was looking for other things to watch because, of course, like everyone else, I finished Game of Thrones, and I just needed another show. So I started watching, it's kind of like a survival show called Alone, and I think there's something like 8 or 9 seasons, but I started all at the beginning. I think I'm on season 3 now. And it's basically they have 10 people, they throw them out into the wilderness alone. They're all in the same place in the general area, but they're placed in certain ways that they can't make contact with each other. There's no way that they can cross the natural barriers to get to one another. They're supposed to be alone. And they're in these for them in British Columbia, I want to say. I have Virgin Islands in my head, but I don't know if that's right. But anyway, so it's really harsh conditions. They took them there in mid-fall, so they potentially could be there during winter, and that horrible, horrible weather conditions, and they have to find their own food, they have to build their own shelter. They're completely and 100% alone, and on top of all of the survival stuff they got to do, they have to be their own camera person, so they have to carry all of this camera gear with them doing all of these things. And some people are getting hurt because they don't have two free hands, and it's crazy. And I've really been into it. I don't normally get into these survival kind of shows, but mostly it's because of the drama of interaction between groups of people. After a while, it just kind of gets annoying. But these people are by themselves, and it's a little bit scary. So I've really been watching that a lot. And then I started watching, I don't know who brought it up at work. I'm glad they did, but I'm also like, why did you send me down this rabbit hole? Is, what is it? The Great British Baking Show or Baking Contest? I can't remember. But I just started, I think, the 3rd season of that one. And I'm addicted, and I swear I'm gaining weight just watching this dang show. I am loving it. I'm not a baker. I'm not a cook. I don't like being in the kitchen. And I'm not a sweets person. I don't generally buy sweets, but I crave cakes like you wouldn't believe watching this show. So I'm having a really good time with it. So that's one of the things that I'm binge watching while I'm knitting and crocheting all of these things, because I can't seem to stop starting stuff. Everybody keeps telling me I need to start watching the 3rd season of Stranger Things, which I loved the first 2, but it just has taken so long to get this next one out that I feel like the kids are already grown-ups. They're not kids anymore, or they're adult actors trying to play kids still. And I don't know, I haven't brought myself to want to watch it yet, but it's on my list. And just recently, as far as movies, I just went and watched John Wick 3. Loved it. I am 100% a Keanu fan. I have always been from way back when. So I love the John Wick films. Love them so much. So I watched that, and then I went and watched Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is the second one in this particular series, I guess. I don't know if they're calling it a series, but it's the second one with a couple of the same main characters. And then of course Godzilla. I've adored Godzilla since I was little. My mom used to always have Godzilla on TV on Sundays, and we would watch the black and white Godzilla together. And this particular movie, this newest one, has all the big monsters. It's got Mothra and and they're done so well. They're so good. It's just this huge epic battle. I loved it, and I need to go see it again. I've been meaning to go see it again, but I've been working so much overtime lately. But I want to see it again, and I'm definitely going to buy that one because I adore Godzilla, and they've done such a good job with these ones lately. So I'm so happy. Very excited. And now basically what I'm doing is gearing up to go to another Avi Kaplan concert in August. So yeah, I can't get over his music. I can't get over any of it. I love it so much. He's got quite a few songs out, and I showed you the things that I've got in progress, the Other Side and Summit. He just got another one that came out so good called Aberdeen. I don't have an idea for that one yet. I don't know if I will. I don't know. That one, I haven't come up with anything for Aberdeen yet. And I think I showed you a while back the Change on the Rise beanie that I had done. So yeah, always a good source of inspiration, Mr. Kaplan is. But I'm excited to go to his concert. I'm going to take my mom, and hopefully my best friend and my son, one of my sons, can go with me on this road trip to Dallas. And they're gonna get, I hope that they enjoy him as much as I do. I just want to share him with everybody. I know it's silly fangirling, but that's okay. That's about all I have for you right now. I have some chores that I need to get done, and I'm actually on vacation for the next couple of weeks, so that's exciting, which it's probably not going to be really vacation-y. I got a lot of chores I got to get caught up on, but that's okay. I'm excited. I don't have to get up before the sun for the next couple of weeks, and that in and of itself is a blessing. So I will see you next time. I'm not going to say exactly when because everything right now is just a little bit crazy. Oh, I didn't mention, I have officially gone and set a date for my retirement from being a 911 operator and dispatcher. So that will probably be sometime in September. That's going to be in September. So right now there's a lot of anxiety going on inside. I'm happy that I'm going to be retiring, but I'm still going to have to work, which means I'm going to have to go look for a job. And that's giving me a little bit of stress inside because I've been doing the same thing for 25 years and things have changed since then as far as job hunting and interviewing and all of that. So I'm a little bit scared. I'm pretty sure I could do it, but yeah, it's strained when you devote your more than half your life to one job and then suddenly you're like, and I'm done. I don't know what to do with myself now. And it's not really going to be financially possible for me to not work. So I'm going to have to jump into that feet first, head first. I don't know what the saying is. But so that's really one of the things is I'm not really 100% emotionally, so I haven't been wanting to do a lot of things like podcasts. So today I had a free day and I thought I'm gonna go ahead and do it. It's been a while and I've got a lot of beautiful things to show, so here I am. And I'm sorry it's been so long, and I'm gonna try to come back sooner, but I'm not gonna make any promises because right now is just a whole big slew of life-changing events happening all at the same time. So I will see you when I will see you, and thank you for spending your time with me. I know this has been crazy long, and I appreciate you all returning, and I hope to see you again the next time. I hope that the rest of your day is fun and full of yarny goodness, and see you later. Bye.